Bump Love is brought to you by
Dial *185 hash option 6 and you could be our lucky winner.
Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless.
This week will be Beverley Nambozo Nsengiyunva. We'll be doing story time with her. What animal sound can you make?
Meow. Okay. She had to pick the easiest. What? Do it and see if it's easy. It's not.
Christians have normalized poverty so much. And I realized the reason why sometimes I feel guilty when I earn a lot is because the church has told me money is evil. Not that the love of money is evil, money is evil.
Tell us about 2020 for you.
Let me take off my spectacles first. The ones that have no lens. Places with the most church buildings are the ones that are the poorest. Wealthy neighborhoods do not have churches, or they don't have many. Like, what is it? Is riches only for that? Evil? What is going on?
Hello and welcome back to Bump Love. It's another Friday and another opportunity to come and engage with you on topics that turn the world around. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. But one that I have not been asking is for you to watch ads. Watch the ad, finish it. When the ad starts, run, do something, then come back. You see how many seconds you have, or minutes. And then run, come back, because we need you to watch the ads. The other thing that I need to ask you to do is to share this content, because guys, you can't find something that you like and then you just stick it, you just leave it for yourself. Share, let other people know about Bump Love. Now that is said and done, today we have a guest on the show. Yeah. You're wondering where, how, when, which and why. I'm glad you asked. Our guest on the show this week will be Beverley Nambozo Nsengiyunva. Today we'll be doing story time with her. But before we do, let's just find out, guys, how was your week?
This week I learned a new skill. I'm reading a book called How to Worry Less and Live More.
Oh.
Yeah, it was written by the guy who wrote How to Make Friends and Influence People.
Oh, Dale Carnegie.
Yes. So he wrote that one. And so I learned to live each day in day-tight compartments. So wake up in the morning, what are my tasks for today? What are my assignments for today? What am I doing today? Where am I today? Live today. Because most times we start to think, oh my God, next week, next month, next year. And yet he says, be the best you can today. Do what you're supposed to do best today. At your job, in your family, in your what? Your tomorrow will be sorted. Yeah. So every time I catch myself thinking, in December, then I remember, hey, day tight. I come back to that day. Yes, it's so nice. So you find that you're not worrying. And then he says, when you find yourself thinking of the past, that, man, I could have started saving at 15. Bring yourself back. Day tight.
Yes. I can start.
Can I save today? And what can I be able to save today? So it really made my week good.
And yet I find that, like, now for me, when we do APPG, because I've planned out the entire year, I don't have to think about Sunday. I just have to think about today. But when we do, like, for example, APPG, we say, okay, so if you want to have a trip in December, start planning for it in June. And then which week in June? In the first week of June. Okay. So so when you come to June, you'll find that, oh, some of the things that I need to work on is planning for the trip in December. But you can do a day-tight date. So I hear him when he says that, and I found it very useful for me, because I found that nowadays I live in the now. My life those days, we would be here, I'm thinking about but because all those things have now been sorted, I can just be here.
Comfortable. I
can live the entire day and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, because it's it's daytime. Today is the day
daytime.
that we're shooting Bumploveug. So I absolutely love that.
And he says Jesus taught us to not to worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. But he says it's such a key principle that we just slide over in the Bible and move, and yet everybody knows it.
Yeah.
When you say tomorrow, everybody completes a sentence for you. He says, can we leave that? Because he actually knew that there will be solutions for tomorrow's issue, but today. Yeah.
Live today as it is. My week went really well. I feel like this week all of us have been in a season of learning. Yeah. So over the week I was doing my coaching class, and we're talking about intellectual growth, being intentional about your intellectual growth, and we're talking about the brain being like a muscle that you have to keep.
Yes.
You have to keep taking for training.
Yes.
And we're talking about the different areas that you have to think about when you talk about your intellectual training. There's education. There's acquiring education, which is what most people know. But then there's also acquiring knowledge. There's acquiring skills. There's, there's so many different things that can come into play when it comes to growing your brain. There's things like even engaging in music and playing an instrument. You're not playing it because, oh my God, you want to become the best cello. I don't know. No, you just play it because there's something that music does to the brain, especially with hand-eye coordination and sound and hearing and all of those things. So looking at the brain or developing your intellectual growth as a key for growing, for getting old better, I guess.
Yes.
For lack of a better word.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that me and my kids like to do is to imitate animals when we watch Discovery Channel.
Okay.
That one ended long ago. You girl, your children are older. How do you remember? But anyway, it's such a
no one
Finding
is
Nemo
too old
is
for
amazing.
Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo is amazing.
It's such a great story.
It's amazing. Anyway, that's it.
Can have a whole sermon on Finding Nemo.
Someone. So what? But not what animal sound. I was going to say birds, but no. What animal sound can you make? And please make it.
Meow.
Okay. She had to pick the easiest.
What? Do it and see if it's easy. It's not. Do you know that high pitch?
It just came out like
it has to be
so
a particular
easily.
key.
Me, I want the one of ducks. What do ducks do?
That's a good one.
That's a hard one.
I do mine in F sharp. In F sharp. Mine was in F sharp.
Which other animal?
Quack, 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 quack. But in nursery, that's what you teach. That's what you teach. And it's not what you teach kids.
That sounds like a quack, quack.
I'm trying to remember, but I'm trying to remember.
Yes.
What do ducks actually do? Do they read? Is that the sound that actually comes
That's the
from
sound
them?
they make.
Yes.
That's the sound
It
they
is.
make. Yeah. It's as they waddle.
Yes. That is the sound.
It's like a chicken. The one that I like is a goat.
You even add the intonation.
Yes, you have to add it.
It's like Bono.
You have to do like as
Yes.
if you have stuff.
That was A minor.
Okay. On the subject of knowing everything, including sounds. You are our guest today, Beverley.
Thank you. I'm honored.
And I know that you've all received an introduction before of who Beverley is, but let me share with you my personal introduction, because you all know her. Beverley was my Sunday school teacher.
And of course I remember.
Do you? You don't at all. She introduced me to the love of children, and she stopped somehow later. I think immediately you went into university, you just stopped.
No, I continued
Okay.
until I went to KPC, even Watoto, I was teaching children. And now at God's Fortress. So for almost 20 years, but not consistently every time. So
okay,
there was a
maybe.
time when the consistency stopped.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 years after marriage, the
Yeah.
consistency stopped when there were children.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I must say that you didn't start old teaching.
No.
You started while you were younger.
Yes.
So you are one of the people who I looked at you, Gloria
Gloria.
Bugara, Keith Chivirango, that even as teenagers, I think, at that point, maybe? Were you like, yeah, I think like young teenagers?
19, 20, 21.
Yeah. No, I think younger a bit. You were still teaching us, and so you inspired, like, for example, me in particular, to work with children. So here I am.
Here you are.
And welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
This is your day.
Thank you. You know, I've always wondered what it's like to
To
be
be
next
like-
to you. So this is how you record.
Be on the set, eh?
This is how you record. And the cameras. Oh my goodness. So you're Barbara.
Yes, she
Manuela.
is, Barbara.
Cadia.
I'm Manuela. Okay, Beverley. One of the things that people know about you is that you are different. You are confident. You are very confident. You are extremely confident. This is some of the comments that we've heard about you here on the show. But knowing you from back then,
ago.
you've always come off as different
Yes.
from your peers, from your colleagues. You're more excited. You're more bodacious, I guess is the
All
word.
right.
When did you first realize that you're different from your peers and that you don't fit within a box, or you don't fit
Yes.
in, for lack of a better word, or you don't blend in?
Yes.
When did you first realize that about yourself?
That's a lovely question. I realized when I was black and everyone else was white. Physically, it was obvious, and yet I was different, not different, because when you're a child, it's different, but it's what you've known. So you're not really different, and yet you are. However, no matter where you are in the world, an African parent is an African parent.
Yes.
That's when you know you're different. I remember one time when my mother caned me. It was from a parents' evening at St. Margaret's, a lovely private girls' school. I don't know what I had done because I was generally an excellent student. She caned me, and my aunt who was living with us said, "Yes, teach Beverley." When I told my friends, they're like, "Oh, are you okay? Oh my goodness, Beverley, are you okay?"
Did you call the police?
Because you could. And it was a great blend of having parents like that and yet at the same time different. So your parents alone will show you you're different. Not fitting in, I have never fit in. Even when I'm with people who are highly skilled, I will tweak it.
Yeah.
Even with people who are faster, I will find a shortcut.
Yeah.
The thing with being different is you don't wake up and say, I'm going to be different. You're just different.
Right.
And you see things differently. You don't say, I'm going to be different from Manuela.
Yeah.
She wears green, let me wear pink. No, you don't. You just find yourself navigating towards that. And also people tell you.
Yeah.
And so people always told me, and I realized, yes, that's how it is. They told me, but I found myself navigating towards it always. And by the way, it's not difficult being different. Sometimes all you have to do is the right thing, because few people want to do the right thing.
Ooh, yeah.
Or when you purposefully try to be excellent in something, you're different, because few people will want to be. And therefore, I found people who wanted to be excellent. I was in that school, let me tell you, I was the best in English, best in reading, writing, story writing, netball, rounders. I got a trophy, best dancer. The school brought out such greatness in me, and I was the youngest in my class, an entire year younger. Everyone in my class was born in 1975. I was born in 1976. We're friends on Facebook. And so from a young age, I was different. Our home was different. At school, I was different. And yet not because that's all you've known. So I thought the world was full of different people.
Yeah.
Yes, that's when I knew. And increasingly, I found I got dissatisfied so much because I always felt there must be more. There must be more. Why do things have to be like this? Don't tell me because they were done. What can be done more? And it was simple things. For example, this table. Why can't you put a tablecloth and a vase? By the way, it's only that. You're like, Beverley, you're so... No, I'm not. I just put a tablecloth and a vase.
Yeah.
But when you do that increasingly, repetitively, the uniqueness stands out. And yet it's just that.
It's just a tablecloth.
Until
and
it's the larger things, you realize, my goodness, you can think of larger things. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Nice. I find that for many people that are different, it started from when they were younger.
Yeah.
They don't see difference becomes their normal.
Yes.
So when they enter a room and everybody is similar, they just automatically gravitate away from where everybody is going. Yes.
Yeah. Our community, our society, our families, our cultures. When a girl is a teenager,
Yes.
they are looking out to make sure she does not have a boyfriend.
Any
Boy, is that, are you friends? Really?
What family is he from?
Thank you. When our children are at home telling us about how other people are dating, we wait for the story to end, then we're like, what about you? No, you guys, us, we're not dating. We're like, so everyone in your class is dating apart from you. That's all of them. That's how they are. They'll tell you stories of their friend dating the other one, dating the other one. But then we're like, and you? No, us guys are not dating. We're like, Then, when she's done with uni, then the parents start to ask, so is there a boy? Look, a few years ago, you were trying to make sure there's no boy. Now they're asking, so no one is taking you for dinner? Okay, it's your birthday. Has someone given you flowers? Then the pressure starts.
Yeah.
By the time a girl is 28, 29, man, she's feeling the intense pressure. Sometimes your aunties just have to look at you and you're like, I know what's coming.
Yes.
You got married
At 30.
at 30, which for very many people will think it's too late.
Yeah.
I remember my mom keeps saying, Barbara, by 30, I had all my 5 children. And I'm like, congratulations. So what was your experience getting married at 30? Which really, I don't feel like it's late, but I mean...
Not anymore, but a while back.
I even knew when I was in my 20s, I felt like 30 is late.
Hey.
So but now that I've passed it, I'm like,
Yes. And these days, people are getting married late. I was 30, 3 weeks to 31, actually. Yes. And I had my firstborn at 32. Yes. So,
Wow.
interestingly, for me, it wasn't even getting married at 30. It was having not dated. Because when I was at university, everyone in the fellowships I was with was dating. And it was so intense and almost ridiculous. Someone's ex is now dating this one's, and it gets confusing. It's like everyone was trial and testing.
Yes.
Now for me, I knew from a young age I was going to get married. That's why I didn't obsess over it. It didn't possess me. And therefore I knew the man I allowed to officially declare as my partner would be the one I'd get married to.
Gotcha.
I didn't understand the trial and errors. That's what I felt it was. The need to be seen. You're dating so-and-so and Valentine's this. At university, there was a lot of pressure. I didn't understand that because I loathed it. I did not want it. It was too cheap for me. The trial and error. Why?
Yeah.
Why do you do that? And you'd see people getting hurt temporarily, and to overcome that hurt, they date another one.
Right.
Because they're available. But you're dating someone who's in their own hurt. Clearly, their minds have not developed enough to. And then you're in the space of fellowship, you're studying, you're finding yourself, you're facing quarter-life crisis. It was insane, and I felt it was insincere.
Right.
Because they felt a need to be seen. That's what I felt it was, especially amongst the fellowship. Someone's ex. What is happening? I really didn't like that, because for me, I was even ready to get married after university. And people said, you're really mature about it. I said, yes, I know I'm going to get married. I don't know who it's going to be. And I've heard people saying, if God shows you your married partner when you're 20, you would not get married to them because you don't see the full person. You don't see their potential. You see them as they are.
Right.
But when I got married, I said, I see the potential. I don't see you for who you are.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was like, what? I didn't understand it. Because I felt you're depositing something in your heart and depositing something else in your heart. You're not just dating, you're depositing something in your heart.
Yeah.
Does it go away? It doesn't. It stays there. And while maybe some were sincere, they thought it would lead to somewhere, others you could see it was just a messy triangle. In a year, they've got 3 different boyfriends. In a year, boys are fighting now over one particular girl.
Right.
In the fellowship.
In the fellowship.
And it was just really insane. Also, because of that, marriage became special for me. Because I didn't play around with my heart. It became special. And while there are boys who may have liked me, or men maybe, and I think maybe, is it a possibility? You go for lunch once or twice, and after that, discernment, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But to officially declare and let everyone know, no way, no way.
Yeah.
And even those ones knew. I think the only two I said, potentially, possibly. But somebody said, Beverley, after I got married, you know how many people tried and they failed? I was working at Power FM and somebody asked a friend, so Beverley, she's single. You will not manage, turn around. That's what he told me.
Yes, she is, but you will
at
not
the wedding,
manage.
actually at the wedding, he said, Beverley, anyway, let me tell you, after people had gone, it was dark. Somebody said, they used to come to Power FM and ask, is Beverley single? I said, you will not manage, Bev, turn around. Turn around, there's the door.
Kind of scared someone.
Literally.
Maybe you could have managed.
someone. Yes.
But you see, if he had been serious, he would have come back.
Right.
Do you see? If something like that scares
Oh,
you,
yeah. I mean,
somebody
something
saying,
as small as
yes.
that.
And that's why I said,
yes.
Emma, he was a knight who tore down all those walls. Other men couldn't have, and that just shows. Because he found me at the height of who I am. A choleric, exciting, energized, that's where he found me. And I also had an extremely short temper, which I've managed now. When I was at Power FM, I was short-tempered because I wanted perfection. Why are you coming 2 minutes late for the show? It starts at 4 p.m. It wasn't my place, but I said, the meeting should have been at 3. And she had 5 past arranging chairs.
Right.
And I instilled that in people. I really knew marriage was for me, and therefore I had no time to trial and error.
Right.
I had to figure out my career, where I was going. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes.
So Emma
But-
comes into your
so
life.
Emma comes into my life, and he came when I was 30, and I was prayerful. At the time, I met some women and were in a prayerful time, so my life was quiet. I should have gone to do my master's then. I didn't get the scholarship to go, and I remained here. Almost for a year, I was in different fellowships, and it just so happened that some of us in that fellowship started to be prayerful towards marriage. And so my heart and spirit were quiet. I wasn't agitated. I wasn't confused. My goals were still clear. I wanted to do my master's, study further, travel, write. I wasn't sure about speaking yet. That hadn't entered. That started when I joined Toastmasters. But my heart was quiet, and I knew where I was going.
Right.
And I thought, yes, I'm ready now.
Okay.
And so he found me when I was at a place where I knew where I was going. I knew whom I was. And I was with people who were protecting me spiritually.
Yeah.
And had they had any questions, had they felt he was questionable, had they felt that there were issues around his family that needed to be dealt with, if they had concerns about the man I was allowing into their space because they prayed,
Yeah.
not just my space, they would have highlighted it. And some of
Right.
them came for the wedding.
Right.
It just so happened that after all was said and done, my heart and soul were at a quiet place, and I was ready.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So how long did you date for?
You know, I don't even know if we dated,
Okay.
but it was when we met, possibly 1.5 years before we got married. So by the time he met me at Power FM.
Right.
He met me, but I didn't know who he was, because my position, I used to meet so many people. They would come in and out. I'd give gifts. As a morning show host, I was in charge of a huge program. I would visit many youth institutions.
Yeah.
And we had lots of promos we were doing. So I think I remember his face in the studio, going to see the manager, passing. He told me that when he saw me at Power FM, he said, God, that is the woman I want. Look at her, she's so assertive. She knows who she is. That is the one I want. She's so industrious. Look at how she works. When he told me this afterwards, he said, I met you at Power FM and I asked God, please, I want a lady like that. That's the one. Look at how she works. Emma, I don't remember that. Now, it so happened that when I didn't go for my master's, which was the idea after Power FM, and I joined this fellowship of women, Emma worked for one of them. And I ended up doing volunteer work for her HIV/AIDS research. And he told me afterwards, God, this lady who was distant, I just wished and hoped and prayed. Now she's
brought
in
her
the
here.
same office. We're working together. Again, I just said, what a nice gentleman he is. This is a nice man offering me a lift home and back. People, do you know when you're clueless? I thought, he's even giving me lifts. How nice. And we're talking, how pleasant. Now, because I write a lot, I have a diary where I said, Lord, thank you for my new friends. There's a man called Emmanuel. He's really a nice person. I have it written down. Writing is so important.
Yes.
And he was like 4 friends in that office. I said, I really like working with these ones. Another friend of ours called Seth was also in the project. Seth was married with a child, I think. But I said, Seth is a nice man. And I think I'd met his son then. And Emmanuel is nice. This is really lovely. God, thank you. It was after that increasingly it became clear that because then would meet and the gudu started.
After that.
I like the gudu.
Where even a friend of mine said, I said, I don't know what to do. Now I can't even work when I'm with him. He said, Beverley, because this is Beverley. I don't go through those things. I mean, have you met me? To
How?
think, I felt, what? What? Me? To go through this? I'm too practical. Let's get married. We go. I went through all of those butterflies. It's like, what? Me to have butterfly in the bev? Yes, so that was what I went through that as well. Yeah, so that was so. I don't know if we dated or if it was just a clear direction because I'm practical like that.
Yeah.
We set a date. I said 777. Yeah, so maybe it was dating, but dating is maybe when you're not sure, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're
Courting is when you're walking towards the
Yes.
marriage. So you guys went through just
So
courtship.
we were friends, and then after that it was courtship. So it wasn't dating of let's see.
Yeah.
No, it was friendship and then courting.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So one of the things that many people don't know about you is that your husband is almost your polar opposite. You get into the room, Beverley is walking, Emma is standing. Beverley is talking, Emma is quiet.
Listening.
Beverley is in red, Emma is in like black. Like the exact opposite of each other. How do you think the phrase opposites attract has played in your marriage?
I think because we both knew how to harness each other's strengths. Now let me tell you, Emma talks a lot.
Yes, he does.
He really does. He talks, like, especially at church with friends, he will talk, and because he has times when he's quiet, people trust him so much. He's been a best man almost 20 times. That's where I get the bow ties that I wear sometimes.
The waistcoats.
And shirts and the waistcoats. Yes, I don't need to buy them. There are plenty of best man suits there.
Yeah.
Because he has a trustworthy character.
Right.
He's not too much, you see. He won't interfere in your personal space as a groom, and he will stand by you, pray over you, say the things you need to hear, and then walk down the aisle with you. You say as you wait for your bride, and pray with you and discuss things. He talks a lot and intensely. He's just not loud about it. You see, that's the difference. Because sometimes I'm emceeing and I'm before audiences and I'm the center of attention, I get exhausted that when it's time for him to talk, let him talk and let me rest now. Yes, because we talk a lot, but in different spaces, our energies are different. And we interact with audiences differently. For him, it's more intimate one-on-one. For me, when it's intimate one-on-one, it's work. And that exhausts me more. For him, it's friendship, prayer. They've invited me for tea somewhere. Yes, that's why. So we speak a lot to people, but in different spaces, differently.
Right.
I've been on quite a number of Zoom calls where
With him.
where he's either teaching or what's that thing called? Not mediating. Moderating. Yes. And he's so gentle. He speaks, his voice is so gentle and intense.
Yes.
That you want to doze off, by the way, because the voice behind the mic is gentle.
And that's whom people want as a best man.
Yes.
That's whom they want, because he won't tell you, let's go to a bar, bachelor's night. No, he won't.
Yeah.
He'll keep you calm. He'll look good in the suit next to you. And he will not pressurize you. Have you built the house yet? Have you thought about how many children you want to have? How much money have you? He won't.
Yeah.
2020 was, I think, for all of us worldwide, for this whole generation, at least the adults, even the children, is a year we'll never forget. A lot changed in the world. A lot changed in our lives. There was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of loneliness. In China, I think they had 300 divorces every week. Yes, because during the lockdown. So that it was a very pivotal time for most people. Their businesses, their personal lives, children's education. We still have children up to today that have lost 2 years.
Yeah.
So you ask a child, what class are you? S3, but ideally should be in S5. Yes, because we lost a lot of time. And self-discovery, or let me not prompt it.
No, it's
Tell us about 2020 for you.
Let me take off my spectacles. The ones that have no lens. Is there?
No, it can't.
How come it happens in the movies? All right. I think at that point, do you know when you're boiling something and the lid comes off?
Yeah.
The lid just needed to come off. Yeah. Now, I was working at a beautiful place, a school, which I'm grateful for because my children never had lockdown. It provided for online learning. But the rat race, I had heard of the rat race. I said, no, there is a rat race here I don't understand. And it wasn't just that time. It was everything in my life. But this is what changed it. I got a phone call from someone who had known me for a long time. Our friends had been families for over 40 years. And we meet maybe thrice a year. Not often, but you know those people, when you meet, it's so powerful. When I have a challenge, I'll call her. She knows what to say. God gives her revelation into my life. She speaks into my life. And I said, dear Lord, thank you for this one. And you don't call those ones every day. Once in 6 months. And the call, you even write down everything she said. She called me and said, Beverley, I wanted to check in on you. Beverley, the way you speak, do you know how much you should be earning in pounds? It changed everything. That was it. It was beginning of lockdown. That was it. I said, what? You mean I am selling myself short?
Yeah.
You mean I'm not so sure who I am? I know who I am, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know who you are, but you're afraid of that possibility. I used to hear motivational speakers, but I felt, not for me. I don't think Tony Robbins is talking to me.
Yeah.
Les Brown, they're talking about those other people. I still have work to do. When she said that time is now, that was it. That opened up everything. I was like, what has she said? No one has said,
it's like she gave you permission, for lack of a better word.
And then telling me that I didn't even need permission. She gave me permission, but then she made me feel, why are you waiting for someone to give you permission?
Yeah.
How come you don't know this?
Walk in your
Why are you
greatness.
waiting for that door to open? Can you open it yourself? That's what she was telling me. She wasn't giving permission, saying, Beverley, open that door. Open that door. Everything changed. I started waking up. There were not enough hours in that day. That's when I started waking up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Do you know why you wake up early or to do anything? It's because you're motivated. My motivation to change. That phone call, I said, you mean the potential of my life is this and I've been living this? I said, who lied to me? Who lied to me and told me I didn't deserve? I started waking up early because I said, you know what? I need to know the truth. It's like the truth has been hidden from me. And you know who was hiding the truth from me? The Christians around me. So I said, I need to know the truth. I started reading and watching Dr. Miles Monroe. He's such a teacher.
Yeah.
Now, this is how the fellowships we're in or the churches we're in hide the truth. They're afraid of the power you'll have once you unleash it. Because you'll start questioning their teachings and you'll say, excuse me, do you think it's right that you're asking us for money when you clearly know that half of these women, their children die of malaria because they don't have enough for medicine or mosquito net? You'll start questioning, asking for accountability. They're afraid of the power you'll unleash. That's why they make it seem without them, you are incapable. I started listening to Miles Monroe because I wanted people who only speak the truth in God. And this is the truth I learned. One, and we've spoken about this before, Christians have normalized poverty so much. And I realized the reason why sometimes I feel guilty when I earn a lot is because the church has told me money is evil. Not that the love of money is evil. Money is evil. And people had spoken this over my life and they had shown me it was evil, such that when I had a lot, they guilted me out of it. Such that when I had a lovely car, I did not settle until I had sold it so that I could walk and be with them and hang with the sisters and be like a real brethren in the church, you see. Such that when I had opportunities, I'd be made to feel guilty because it was too worldly to be excellent.
Right.
No. Stop writing well. Stop doing work excellently. That is too worldly. Spend
And
more
yet
time
that's
in
not
prayer.
in the Bible.
Spend more time in prayer. You see what lack of knowledge does. And Miles Monroe opened up my life and said, if you are not creating wealth, you're not doing God's word.
Yeah.
Because a good man leaves an inheritance. If you're not doing that. And then I used to think,
stewards, really.
I used to think being in debt was the way of life. A way of life. And I used to just embrace it. I said, yeah, another year of debt, because after all, that is God's way. That is God's way. How can you not be in debt? You see? Now, when debt comes, I'm not afraid of it. You see the difference?
Yeah.
When you're not afraid, you easily overcome it.
Yeah.
When you are afraid, you think, oh my goodness, you need a handout. No, not with my God. And those things change. Normalizing poverty from a young age, I just saw it in the church so much. And now where I was, there are a group of Christians who believe that and they live it.
Yeah.
You know, we may be poor, but it's okay. We're doing the work of the Lord. They don't know that they're doing the work of the devil, because poverty is not
Of God.
of God. Poverty comes with too many demons and strongholds. And this is what they would say. And they would broadcast it on social media and hoodwink the followers. Because someone who thinks like that goes to a place of people who don't have enough and then makes them work so hard, mopping the church, doing all these things and saying, God bless you and your children. Is this your child? God bless you. Bring them over for lunch. Christmas lunch. And they think that, and they take photos. And everyone says, oh my goodness, we had lunch with a pastor. No. You should be the one to be able to afford your lunch. That is what ministry is. You be the one to go out in the world and give lunch to the needy. You cannot be needy and you're a follower of God. And those things, you see, they manipulate you and use your excellence and control you into making you feel you don't deserve. And that's what I realized the church was. And why they would use me, because, as I said, I wanted to do right all the time. If the church said poverty was the best way, let me be poor. It's okay.
Yeah.
If I only had enough for transport in a taxi, that is okay. God wanted that, because that's what I was told. And increasingly, every time I earned so much, I'm telling you, the guilt, especially when you're in church, the looks, the what, I was like, something is wrong. I didn't understand. God opened up my eyes through Miles Monroe, and I realized that, you know what, we should be wealthy, but it takes years to understand wealth.
Yeah.
I started reading from the richest men, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. They all said the same thing. Jack Ma, be consistent, have mentors who understand money, invest, and these are not people who proclaim God. Then I started reading about poverty. Places with the most church buildings are the ones that are the poorest.
Yeah.
Wealthy neighborhoods do not have churches, or they don't have many. Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Is riches only for the evil? What is
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
And then you claim wrongly, the wealth of the wicked belongs to me. Those verses
The
that
wicked
you...
worked.
Hey, the wicked worked. And so then I realized money doesn't care about feelings or about the Holy Spirit. Money does not care. It follows the same principles. And you have to follow those principles. And so I wondered, why is it all those who go to Prayer Mountain, they're poor? So many people go to Prayer Mountain are poor. Why is it? They're wailing. The ones who are always in overnights. The first to leave and last to arrive. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I genuinely was
For
confused.
the life of you, yeah.
I was so confused. The ones who rarely come, maybe they'll come once a month and they're asked to speak and contribute. They're given the honor. And you're like, yet us who prayed, we're in every ministry. We're in
Front
what?
seats. The ones
Yes,
with the front seats.
yes. And then I thought, do more so you're blessed more. So I was inside, all the ministry is possible. If there was technology ministry, I'd have been there.
Yeah.
I used more, let me do more and be blessed. But something was wrong. So lockdown taught me that. It also taught me that whatever you want, you can get. Don't be fooled.
Yeah.
Don't think that your dreams are too big. They're too big for the other person, not for you. When God has planted something in you, the seed, it will become a mango. If someone wants passion fruit, let them not force your mango to be a
become
passion fruit. And
yeah.
I was around people who are trying to force my seed to be something else. And then I realized increasingly that there are people in my life who are friends, but now maybe frenemies, who, you know, it's your enemies who see your light, who see your potential. And I realized these enemies of mine had consistently tried to take away the power of my potential, because they said, once this girl unleashes, we are finished. Because she will explode and her light will be so bright that our darkness will be seen. Because people will see how we are fraudsters. Let
Yeah.
us continue confusing her. And they would take opportunities away in small ways. What they would do is, you mention a dream and then they laugh. They're like, and then you think, maybe not. Small things like that. It's the small things.
Yeah.
Or I remember a time when I would give people lifts to wherever they wanted. In between me not having a car, these friends whom I used to give lifts, they would say, you know what, your house has so many twists and turns. Can we stop you here? Sometimes I'll be with Zion and she's a young child and I'd walk. You see the small ways in which they can take away your power because you feel, actually, I must be inconveniencing her.
Actually, you even start to think
You
of
say-
the twists and turns.
Then you say, thank you so much. Thank you. Can I also contribute to your fuel? You forget how much kindness you have given. When that happens to you repetitively, people know that Bev's kindness is so much. She's so pure, she can't even see how evil we are. Let us continue.
Yeah.
And these are things in lockdown I discovered. I pointed out decades. I said, this person consistently gaslighting a narcissist in my life. Whenever I leave them, the energy has been sapped. And yet you're doing so much. With others, the energy is high. What is it? There were people I pointed out, family members, people in that church. I was like, this trend, cut them out. I left WhatsApp groups. You people, the power I had, so much, I started writing posts at 3 a.m. because I said, whatever I have, people need to know. But the truth, you've been lied to in that church. That church doesn't want to be rich. You know, I was preaching now.
Yeah.
No, I was becoming a preacher now. Because I
Yeah.
said, we're not going to physical church. Let me preach online. Do you know how many people came to my inboxes? I became a preacher because I said, this truth I've learned,
I'm
I
going
don't want
to share
anyone to
it.
be lied to. Every so often I'd say, God wants you to be rich and wealthy. That church has lied to you.
Yeah.
Run away from that church.
Yeah.
You read the word. I would post Miles Monroe videos about wealth, the truth of wealth. What talent do you have? Has anyone made you feel guilty about your talent? Use it.
Yeah.
Which fellowship are you in where they make you feel guilty for having a nice car? Buy another car. Use it for ministry. How are you going to be, what is it, impactful when you're not? Manang, I preached, people said Beverley, something I said. Professors in Makerere came and said, Beverley, we hear there's something different about you on Facebook. Yes, the ones who are not on Facebook, because that generation is not.
Yeah.
They're like, Beverley, we hear. Others who had treated me with disdain because they felt, this one is so powerful, but it doesn't see. Anyway, they would come and say, Beverley, we are just hearing things. And then you see people are now afraid. That like you people. I was shining so much, people were scared. And even me, I said, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to tell people the truth.
Yeah.
Who lied to you that you are useless? Run away from that person.
And
Who
then
is
the only thing you
gaslighting?
can
That's when I
do
knew
is-
what gaslighting was.
Yeah.
I was like, if this has happened to you, you're being gaslit. Is it your mother? Is it your father? Is it your spouse? Is it your what? Have they done this? Speak to them. Get out of that relationship. Do you know how people were in my inbox? People, I was a preacher, I was a teacher, I was a healer, I was a counselor. And I was ready because I had
Mentor,
everything.
coach.
Yeah.
I had enough for the whole of Uganda and Africa.
Yeah.
People would come, I'd say, what do you need? People would call me and they would end up in tears and I'd feel like, God, thank you, that was my role. Even lockdown, I healed people because God said, I'm going to use you now. You have it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the more I would meet someone, I'd be like, that person has darkness in their life. If only they knew the truth. I mean, this,
If only they knew that.
if only they knew. I said, so there are people who have been Christians or professing Christianity for 20 years and they don't know this truth. So I mean, I've been a Christian lied to. And what upset me, I was lied to. So I mean, I was lied to about this. God, so I said, so people want us to make God send his son again. The blood was enough
Yeah.
once, but they make you feel it's not enough.
Yeah.
They make you say, you must go for every single overnight.
Yeah.
When they control you, what they're saying is that the blood of the lamb was not enough. That's
Yeah.
what they're saying.
Yeah.
And then I said, first wait, look at it. Because look at it, that's how cults begin. What they do
Control.
is, this is our church. We do things our way. If anyone comes, they have to go to a ritual before they belong, through a ritual. But what does God say? He called the 12 and said, "Dada, now go out." For us, we're like, come in, you're ours. There's
Yeah.
a ritual you have to go through before you belong. No, that is an occult.
Yeah.
I started pointing it out, and then friends came and told me, Beverley, I've been in this church. Everything you're saying, I am drained. However much you do, you're called out. The sexual abuse, the cheating, the idolatry, the adulteries. They just came and were just in tears all the time. Because for me, I would see pastors with their posters, and God would show me, those ones, that one is sleeping with another person. He would just see me. Discernment. I could even see people who are going to separate, and before long they have. And so the need, and then I discovered how people need validation outside themselves. So I said, I've never needed that. If I have, there's something wrong. If ever I'm in a place where I feel I need a compliment for validation or a social media presence for validation, something is missing. And I saw people overcompensating. My goodness. And then afterwards, God showed him. Now that one, see the amount of time he spends. You'll see how much time he spends with his wife in comparison. 2 days later, the wife is in my inbox in tears. God showed me all of this. He said, you can contain it every day. And it was my joy to just be there for people.
Wow.
And you know how you're there for people? Don't give solutions. Just listen.
Yeah.
Affirm them and acknowledge and say, God had shown me. And I say, and then I'd ask them, I said, what happened in your life when you were younger? Did you ever have to compensate to please your mother? Yes. I'm like, that's why you're over pleasing your husband. He's abusing you. But because you over had to please your mother, you're doing it with your husband. Yes, because you always had to work for love.
Yeah.
That's why you think you have to work harder to receive love from your husband.
Yeah.
And that's how you are with God. That's why you're in every ministry thinking, the blood of the Lamb was enough.
Even before.
The blood was enough.
Yeah.
But the way people make you think you have to purchase more blood, no.
Purchase
No.
more blood.
They are diminishing the sacrifice of
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
And so there was just so much. But you people, unstoppable. Now, when physical things happen now that happened to me before, challenges, I look at them differently.
Yeah.
So I'm not in a state of euphoria all the time, but I've never gone back to where I was before. And people said, but Bev, you know you can't go back to where you were. I don't even know what it was like before. I literally don't know. I'm like, before I discovered this truth, what you mean? And so when I see people who are, do you know what it means to renew your mind?
Yeah.
Renewal of your mind. I see it so much, people whose minds are not renewed or that transformation where.
Yeah. And you know what, Bev? Like, I feel like the most transformation happens when, like, especially for us that are Christian, when you read the word.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the word says, he came, he was poor,
Yes.
so that we might be rich. And
Yes.
I know people have those translations of, no, poor in the spirit. No.
Yes.
Like when you look up the Greek meanings of poor, it was impoverished.
Yes.
No money, no wealth, so that we might be rich, wealthy, like those. That's what the Bible says.
Yes.
So I think for me, based on what you've shared, it's the importance of, and I think we're talking about it even a little bit earlier, where you have prophets who are prophesying over your life, and you don't realize that in the olden days, in the days of old, the prophets used to prophesy. And you would go with their word 100% because God wasn't speaking to everybody. But now he gave us the Holy Spirit.
Thank you.
And the Holy Spirit tells us of things that are to come. So therefore, the prophet of these days is not like the prophet of those days. Yes, they do speak directly from the word, directly from God, but the place where you're in, you should be in a place where you're in the vine is in you. You can hear God, so that the prophet is as a confirmation. Is a confirmation, is a kind of like I want to say contextualizer.
Yes.
You know, you can hear something, you can hear God say something, and then not only does a prophet confirm, but he contextualizes it because the way he sees it is different from you. That's what the prophets are doing for us in our day and age. So now you don't read your Bible.
Yes.
You have no time with God.
Because you're waiting on that.
Because you're waiting for the prophet.
For a mediator.
Yes. So there's based on what you've shared, the importance is in each of us having our own personal experiences of God. Yeah. And I find that lovely. So now we are in 2024. It's been 4 years. 4 years since your transition.
Yeah.
Just tell us a few of the things that have completely changed. Yes, I get that your mindset changed.
Yes.
You started to wake up early.
Yes.
You're starting, you don't fear wealth anymore.
Yes.
But what about those very practical things that you now do that
I love that. I still wake up early.
Yeah.
And I manage my time so much better that by midday I'm done with work.
Yeah.
And I don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
Because I said, listen, I can do the work. Because when Toastmasters, for example, I managed my time so well. I received the highest award in 4 years and achieved so much. Started a newsletter for the district, did so much. In 7 years, and I was highly active. I did more than many people who have been there 20 years. And so for me, time is, what impact have you made? Don't just sit there. I have been employed here for 30 years. And what did you do?
Yeah.
Someone in 3 years can make a bigger impact. Jesus lived for 33 years.
And up to now.
He brought salvation. He brought salvation.
Yeah.
You're 85. You know, you've been in a job for 6 years. Someone 6 months can change things. And so I realized that wherever you are, make a change. Manage time. That's what I do practically. When I wake up at 3, 4 to pray, I also work at 5. Before I'd be like, work starts at 9. Don't be too much now. But now I'm like, no, that's when I'm awake. My mind is so alert. Work at 5. 5 to 7. Holiday time, no one is awake. If it's school time, they'll wake up 5:30, maybe 6. But then if I've been up from 4, I've had my hour. Praying, an hour praying, an hour after a cold shower. And then I exercise early as well sometimes. By 11, I've done the hardest work, exercised, and I can watch a comedy at midday. And I don't have any guilt because so time management, which I never had before, is so important. Why? Because I was allowing other people to control my time. Other people tell you, 8 o'clock, report, 8:30, staff meeting, you're controlling my time.
Yeah.
And also I say no more often, and it's okay. I say no. Jordan Peterson says, if you're not able to assert what you need, you're living less than your fullest self. Don't deny yourself that. Say no. Say no, you don't want to be part of something. Say no, you don't want to go for this party. Say no, you don't want to visit that auntie. It's okay. I used to be a yes person because I felt I had to work for love, you see. That's why people say yes all the time. Because you want to work. The validation. You people. Do you know how it feels when you don't need anyone's validation? It's better than chocolate chip ice cream.
I know.
Where you set your own standards. People have said that about me a lot, that I've always set my own standards. But you people, knowing it, that you don't need anyone's validation. It's so powerful. But also to understand how you got there. To understand the process of how you got there and to know how not to go back. So when I find myself needing it, I'm like, but why do I when I don't believe? You see, when you don't truly believe in something, but you say yes because you're scared of hurting their feelings, think about it. Do they care about your feelings?
Usually they don't.
Yes. Did they care about your feelings? You're like, but let me go for this 9 p.m. meeting. No, but you've told them 9 p.m. That's the time you're singing goodbye song, lullabies to your children. That's when you're with your husband because he's coming late this month. Did they care about that? No, they didn't. And you told them that, you know what, this whole month, my husband is coming a bit late. He has a big project. I really can't make it. This week, even just a week. You've been faithful for 4 years. They can't give you a week. And that's what my life was. You give so much time to people. When you ask for grace, well-deserved grace, they don't give it to you. Why? They're entitled. They feel they own you, control you. When they saw me walking away, those people started coming back to me and seeing me differently because I had the power. Because the people you place on a pedestal, you're making them feel superior. When they realized the power had shifted, then they started coming for me to train them. Yes, because they realized now, and my power was real. It wasn't based on the falseness of titles. See, some of them, those people had power because they had titles and acknowledgement and what. My power was real because I didn't need a title. And that's what people were afraid of, because the earth shook, because they were weak. You see, the earth only shakes if I do this, and you fall off. It means you're not stable, but you're not going to fall off because you're stable. So if I come and my presence shakes you, it means you're not stable and secure. It means you're like a bully who's a coward. When they realize that,
bully who is a coward. Wow.
Yeah, cowards are bullies. When they realize that, Beverley has changed. Now the tables have turned because my power was real. It came from understanding God, listening to teachings and the word, reversing all the wrong teachings and applying the truth. Because that's it, needing validation. I used to put people on a pedestal. Now, when you see people for who they are, you begin to see their weaknesses. Sometimes you even feel sorry for them. You're like, what? So that overcompensation is because he's having trouble at home. Now I understand why he needs validation from work so much. Like, it's excessive. You know, these people who are always challenging people. Men, you're 40, but you haven't yet built a home. Who are aggressive in that way. They're overcompensating. It's good advice, maybe. They're overcompensating for something. Always look at people who have an image. Like, and I see it clearly now. I see what is wrong, what is missing in their life, what is missing. Oh, and remember, I train many children. Many of these children are also children of those people who love not shouting, but who love their presence on social media. And so how is the situation at home is different in a child's eyes? Yeah. It's different. It's different in a child's eyes. And a child has an honesty with which they approach things. And you can see with which they even learn. Their learning takes a bit longer because they're dealing with a lot. Yes.
Wow.
You know, I have had children who are like, don't tell my mother this, but I'm going through this.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Yes. Another one said, while she tried cutting her wrist. This one was not in Uganda. You get that quite a bit. And I said, you know, Lord, I don't know what to do with this. But I've said it again. I started studying counseling. I want to do a proper certificate.
Yeah.
Because I want to give people proper, not that it was improper, but a more guided support that is based from people experts who have already studied and understand the process.
Wow.
Yes.
So we see another master's on the way. But
or certificate.
Or a certificate.
Please,
or a
counseling.
PhD, whatever. Because in Bev's world, if you want to do it, why?
But also do it to impact the globe.
Yeah.
Another thing is, don't just do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Because wealth is not riches. Wealth is when you're impacting the world.
Yeah.
Impact the world. That's why you need the money and the resources to impact. Don't ask for so much when you don't know what you're going to do with it. Because like the lottery winners, in 2 years you lose that $2.3 billion. Who loses $2.3 billion? Those who don't know what to do with it.
Okay.
Lottery winners, exactly. Who now are buying things they didn't need to.
Yeah.
But you give me $2.3 billion.
Yeah.
I already know where to apply it.
I agree.
To make an impact, you see?
Yeah.
And that's why be content when you have little, when you have a lot, because your vision is consistent.
Yeah.
So when you have little, maintain the vision. When you have a lot, continue with the vision and then you can apply more. So wealth is important. Having a vision is important. Don't be afraid of money. Most importantly, have a wonderful vision for your life. And have those who understand your destiny. Man, there are people who will dissuade you from your journey. Just acknowledge that wealth is so important. Maintain your vision and consistency. Yeah. That's why they say riches change people. Yeah. That was who they were already. It didn't change you. That's who they were. Yes. Yeah. How come people don't have a lot, but they're still engaged in what the Lord requires? And when they have a lot, they're still engaged. No. Money is innocent. It's us who use the money, you know. And so acquire a lot. If you know in your vision you want to impact the globe, so have a vision. Get the vision first, your purpose. When the money comes, you will control it. It won't control you. Yes, it's a beautiful thing. Money is innocent. Create wealth, be powerful, and have a vision to impact the globe.
I love that.
I like that money is innocent.
Even me, I like
Money
that
is
money
innocent.
is innocent. I like that. And let us know in the comment section. Tell me, I mean, you've dropped gems upon gems upon gems in just sharing your story, and I'm so grateful that you could take the time to share from your heart. And so for all of us who are watching, let us know in the comment section. I think for me and Barbara, it is money is innocent. The problem is either you or me. But for money, it has no problem. So let us know in the comment section, what are some of the things that Beverley has shared from her story that either resonate with you or that have just switched on a light bulb for you? Let us know in the comment section. I'm talking about comment sections. Monica Agena 3025, you actually won the spa treatment of the week.
Well done, Monica.
Congratulations, Monica. We're so
well done.
happy for you. And if you'd like to be the next winner, all you have to do is comment and it could be you. Until next time, see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bump Love was brought to you by
Dial star 185 hash option 6 and you could be our lucky winner.
Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.